Greetings. We are here in the lab. This is Ron Tell that we're in the lab. We're going to have a guest with joining us, and we are glad to have you all here. A lot has happened. With regards to our state of Georgia, our country. We've seen that Senator Raphael Warnock has won re-election. He'll have a full 6 terms now, and it all came in last night. People got out to vote. And so that's not necessarily what we're going to be talking about tonight, but until our guests come on, that's Coach Robert Deloach, then that's what we will be talking about. Oh, Coach Rob Jiggy is here. He is here. So I can't even get into the conversation about Herschel Walker and Raphael Warnock because Coach Rob Jiggy is here. So we got to rewind and go back to what we're going to be talking about tonight. Coach Rob, how you doing, Coach Rob?
I'm doing good, bro.
Well, Coach Rob, I'm going to share something with you.
Okay.
Coach Carter tried to kill us this morning. Coach Carter tried to kill us this morning, Coach Rob. He tried to kill us this morning, and I'm putting it out there to everyone. Coach Sam Carter tried to kill us this morning, and so he gave us we had a +1 that we should not have had, but that's what he did. And we know if Coach Rob was there, it would probably been a +5, but you thank God he wasn't there. So we got to take the small blessings from God. We take that in. So our brother, Coach Rob Jiggy, and some of y'all know him, Coach Robert Deloach. And so we are here. Let y'all know this too. I've just come from Savannah State University, and it was the alumni pinning. So I went out there to pin some of my people. Some of my people called me and they said, Baba, they said, Father, I need you to come pin me. And then they were like, Big bro, I need you to come pin me. So I went out there to Savannah State. And we're talking about HBCUs tonight, part of HBCUs, private schools, and also all the other stuff that parents need to be knowing, you all need to be knowing too. So, and we call this show the Deion Factor. That's part of the Deion Factor in private schools. So Coach Rob Deloach, it's a lot of attitudes, and not just say attitude, a lot of opinions and views that are out there about Deion Sanders because he went to Jackson State, was the coach, and alluded to people that it was, and good, Reverend Betty Jones, glad to have you with us as always, and that he went there and said that this was a part of a mission that was sent to him by God. And so now within 3 years, we guess that God has not told him he need to go to another place right now. So he's going to Colorado. And so I see you shaking your head. So Coach Rob Deloach, what background can you give us about this whole situation? Background can you give us, Coach Rob Deloach? Because I value your thoughts and opinions. Because Coach Rob Deloach, not only is he a parent, not only is he a coach, but he also be having that inside information, that insight that I respect. Go ahead, Coach Rob Deloach.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Yeah, it's been a lot of chatter, on the internet. I've had several phone calls with folks around the country, talking about the situation with Deion. People that are very close to him, a lot of people in Tallahassee, who've been around him, kind of knows how he rolls. A lot of people are not surprised. I mean, yeah, they're not surprised that Deion has moved on. A lot of people have opinion that Deion is always going to be about Deion. And Deion is always going to do the best interest for Deion. It's just who he is. My opinion, I shared it with you earlier during the week, is that I don't think in our lifetime that we'll have another person that could potentially grow the brand of the HBCUs outside of the SWAC. Meaning that, with Deion's presence, his name, his professionalism, his marketing, that if he decided that, hey, you know what, if it's happening at Jackson State, it's probably happening at other HBCUs around the country when it comes to underfunding athletic programs, financial aid being late, all the stuff that kids complain about, being an athlete, that he could have grown a platform, using his celebrity status, because LeBron James and Chris Paul are big givers of HBCUs. Now you step outside of the realm of coaching, and then you come up with a platform where you can have some type of committee with agreement with all of the presidents of HBCUs around the country, and you use your platform to introduce, new avenues to gain revenues for those universities. Now you're talking about being a celebrity, a Hall of Fame college football player, Hall of Fame professional. Now you become a pioneer. And now those changes that you implement affects the next 30 or 40 generations. That was just my opinion. I can't tell, Deion what to do. I guess he thought it was, best for him and, the guys in his circle. But if you want, to do something to change to the HBCUs and the way that people view them, then you use your celebrity status to help grow the brand across the country.
Yes, sir. And some people have said this, and again, to members of the audience, we say share, share, share. Again, pass the word on. And so, again, they were saying that HBCUs, in fact, helped Deion. Deion is an alumnus of Talladega College, Talladega, that's in Alabama, and that he became a coach at Jackson State. And they said that Deion, with the guards, and again, and this is just what some people have reported and have been saying, that Deion wanted to get into coaching, but he did not want to be an assistant coach. He wanted to have a place where he would be a head coach, and that opportunity was availed to him by Jackson State. So people were saying, like, listen, HBCUs have done work for him that PWIs, and for some of you may not be aware, PWIs, I mean predominantly white institutions that he had been affiliated with, that they would not allow him to do. Because especially you need to have a degree. And so Talladega went forward with regards to getting him in that position to get a degree. And they said, in fact, they worked with him. That's what one of the reports said. And so now with regards to coaching, not wanting to be an assistant coach, but wanting to be a head coach, that the best opportunity was, that what availed itself was at Jackson State. And so do you have any thoughts and ideas with regard, and say even could be your opinion or thoughts of other people who are from HBCUs, because you are connected to it, you are an alum of Savannah State University. So what are your thoughts with regard to this?
Well, part of it is, you've been around HBCUs, and a lot of times our administrations don't know how to handle the funding that comes in a lot. And, there's reports out now that there were deals made with Deion as far as ticket sales and how he was going to pay his staffing. And a lot of that money did not get distributed, back to him so he could pay his coaches. And it went to a general fund, for scholarships. So, that's just another report. But, my experience of being at HBCUs, everybody's, for some reason, and not all of them, they have issues with handling money outside of, what's allocated for those universities.
Okay.
And I can attest because I'm an AME, and we saw what happened at, Morris Brown where they lost their accreditation. And the leadership there, it was detrimental to a lot of kids from the AME churches who attended Morris Brown out of the state of Georgia. And it also happened at Edward Waters too. So just a lot of folks, unfortunately, think about themselves and not for the good of the group and these young people.
I'm gonna let y'all know. Y'all saw I got frozen. Soon as he said he was AME, see, because I'm not. I am not. Listen here, Monumental, because I just left Dr. Corey Thompson. I just left for Monumental. Me and the YPD gonna be doing some stuff. So listen here, that's Coach Rob Jiggy. Y'all know. Y'all ain't gonna get on. Y'all ain't gonna tell my mama. I'm just saying I've been going on with some stuff right now because we are Monumental. He St. Philip on the Boulevard. That's why he St. Philip on the Boulevard. I'm like, I'm Monumental. I'm monumental.
Y'all hide up on the oak trees. We wide open on MLK, baby. we got places to park.
Oh, we parking where the Parsons used to be at. Okay, we got a block. I mean, we got a lot. Okay, we got a lot. Oh boy, this one here, but and
we got the best cooks. Yeah, I said it. We got the best cooks over on the boulevard.
I don't know about that. I have no knowledge of what you speak with regards to that. I have no knowledge.
Ask Miss Shirley James.
Oh Lord, oh Jesus. Yeah, because I gotta talk to Miss James anyway about a matter. We're gonna be getting into that too, Coach. We're gonna get into that too.
Yes,
but
yes.
We're gonna be getting into that too. That's part of what we're gonna be doing on Run Tell That.
Don't forget.
Ellis threw out something. He said, "Would you turn down $5 million, Coach? Would you turn down $5 million?"
I probably would if I get a chance to make $500 million. Sometimes you got to take a loss to get a win. Because it can never be about me. It's about growing the brand. And that's part of our problem as people. We take the bait. Now, what happened to those kids? Without the kids, $5 million ain't nothing. But I get an opportunity to make 500 impacts on young people's lives, then I'm doing good. You count that. I don't count my value. I count their value.
So now, just to share this with you all, that perspective, at least I'm going to say this, that perspective that's been shared by Coach Rob Deloach is not a perspective that's been put out there popularly. That's not something that you hear a lot of people talking about. People are not putting it. That's why you're getting some insight. That was to Run Tell That. We always going to try to have the people giving some insight and some different views, different opinions with regard to some things for you to make you think about that. Say, hey, that's something that is absolutely real. And so we move on with regards to this. And when you talk about, say, how funds are handled at institutions. And so that has been one of the issues that people have talked about, even with regard to Savannah State. So yes, as I shared with y'all, I just left from Savannah State. I left from Savannah State for the alumni pinning. And so don't think Savannah State alum, don't be trying to come, especially AME Savannah State alum, don't be trying to come for me twofold. Don't be trying to come for me twofold. But that's what part has been alleged with regards to Shannon, that Shannon wanted monies to be donated to the institution, but he wanted to be earmarked for something specifically. But then it appeared that agreements could not be made with regards to that. And so it's saying, hey, so Coach Deloach is saying this becomes an issue with regards to us, and that sometimes that even though we may have people at the institution who are mouthing what it should happen, but sometimes they got it by some other people, that some other policies that say come into play that hit our schools, but don't hit other schools. And then people start looking at, say, a UGA and see that there's a UGA foundation that with regard to athletics. And so then they have more room to play with. So, but here go our schools, not, and I'm talking HBCUs and smaller schools not having that same play. So Coach Rob, what's your thoughts with regards to that?
Well, we got to understand our environment. One thing is that, at least here in Savannah, we don't promote the school like we should. We don't promote the athletics like that. That's probably the biggest, generational opportunity to create some funding is through athletics. I mean, if you go to the football game, most of the locals don't even know Savannah State play on Saturday. When the basketball game's on, nobody's talking about going to a Savannah State basketball game. They're more in tune to go to the high school game than to a college game. And that's marketing. The one thing you can say about Deion, everybody was at Jackson State every Saturday, every Friday, Saturday, and, recovering on Sunday. So, depending on the name, depending on, what they bring to the table, to me, it's just money on the table that we leave when we don't promote my HBCUs. Coach Carter and I always talk about, and you can translate to college. If you have a good college football team, you're probably going to have a good university. Just like high school. If you have a good high school program, it's an opportunity to have 85 leaders. Same thing with, good football program. You got an opportunity to have 100 leaders around the school. And it's just the influence of the sports and how we manage it and how we market it.
Absolutely. And so, and I was just to share this with y'all, and some of y'all who are from Savannah, Georgia, you all probably know some great Savannah State alums, and that is the Campbells. That's Lemuel Campbell and his wife. You know, they are great Savannah State alums. And so, and that's what we were having the conversation. And that's what about the support, what should be happening. That's internally, that what should be happening, and then externally. And so, and as I was sharing and talking with Mr. Campbell, I shared something with him, and this goes along the line with Coach Deloach. I said that at one time, Savannah State was viewed as being, and with Savannah State, for some of you who are around the country, let y'all know, Savannah State is an HBCU. Good, we want to be clear about that. But what happened in Chatham County, Georgia, Chatham County, which Savannah is in, Savannah State was viewed as being the college. People will ask you, are you going to the college? Do you go to the college? And for when they're talking about college, they're not talking about Georgia Southern or Armstrong or SCAD or South University. They were specifically talking about Savannah State. And so somebody go back in time, Johns College, they were talking about Savannah State. And that I said that we have gotten away from that because now when it comes down to it, folks don't view that when they see the college. They don't even hear that. So it's not resonating. So right here, Coach Deloach, when you're going to say that, it took me back in time. I'm going to go back to the 1970s and the early 1980s. That, again, Savannah State is a monster in Division III basketball. That, again, Coach Russell Ellington, that and Jimmy Westland, that was on the males and females, the Tiger Reds, as they were called back then, and the Tigers. That, again, they had banners that Savannah State that were hanging up in the Wiley World College gymnasium because Savannah State was a beast when it came to basketball. And that, again, so when you talk about that, Coach, about the locals are right there. And even with regards to football, even football was not as successful as basketball, they are right there. Folks are there. But then we have, again, we disconnect. And as I was telling some people earlier, I said, we don't have any memory anymore. We lose the memory. And so, Coach, I was saying you are right. I'm going to say, throw it out there. You are right on par, right on track with regards to that. And so, Coach,
when you travel around the country and you talking about, I'm in Tallahassee quite a bit, but FAMU is just as popular as Florida State, especially when they come to their alumni and, their homecomings. And if you look across the country, it's a lot of folks that represent FAMU in high places. And that's what I'm talking about when you're talking about sacrificing $5 million and you got elected officials around the country. You can't put a dollar on that because they impact so many other lives, and they made the sacrifice. They got opportunity, they took advantage of it. They didn't take the money and go private and hide and just say, hey, it's all about me. No. They use their resources, they pool their resources, and they put themselves in a position to be successful. That's all I'm saying.
Excellent perspective, Coach Deloach. Excellent perspective. Again, you put it out there, say that power. And I know Dr. Tanya Howard Hall, and she's extremely happy that you're talking about family, talking about the rattlers, strike, strike, strike again. And my daughter Shari, I know they all happy. They hear that FAMU cry. They're gonna say that's right because they are FAMU.
Yeah.
And
they're proud of it.
Yeah.
They're proud of it. But when you come, for us who went to Savannah State, nobody's talking about Tiger pride. We talk about other people pride. We talk about Howard. We talk about Albany State, Fort Valley, FAMU. Now we talking about Jackson State, Southern, Grambling. When you're looking at commercials for HBCU, Savannah State used to be in the mix. Now they got Norfolk State, Hampton. Nobody's talking about SSU anymore because we don't put ourselves out there. We don't have a good product. One time we had the longest losing streak in the country. I'm just throwing it out there, Doc. Stop me when I tell a lie.
Those of you who don't know this, Coach Rob Deloach, again, he has the ears and connect with coaches and athletic departments around the entire country. And he's right here in Savannah, Georgia. He has the ears and the connect, got him on speed dial, got him on Twitter, all that right there. And what they tend to say, what they love about Coach Rob Deloach, what they respect about, he just spit it out, give it to you straight with no chaser, and that's just how he is. It's just matter of fact. but he ain't had to go there right then about Savannah State and the losing streak. We ain't had to go through that trauma, Coach Deloach. You ain't had to traumatize someone because some of us remember that. And we think about that occasionally, so we ain't got to bring that up on us like that. And that's why. So when he's talking, he's not just talking to somebody who is just right and something who's just local. This is somebody that he's nationally known by folks. The coaches respect him from the Northeast to the Midwest to the South to to the West Coast. So they respect him, and so but he ain't had to bring that up. And so and again, it goes right back to again conversation I'm having with folks about with regards to us and what we need to be doing, and again that because we have other people who are now who don't have the same connection, have the same time. And that was one of the criticisms that thrown out when some folks when they said that Deion was not swag. He was not swag. And so again, your perspective has been insightful with regard to saying he was not swag. And somebody say that to be swag, you have bought into it. You are dedicated to it. You are tied into it. So what's your thoughts and your views with regard to that? When him people saying Deion is not swag.
Well, Deion is not swag. Deion coached in the swag. But when you talk about a guy that was All-American, that coach in the SWAC, who was an academic All-American, who's actually still came back in his university. I mean, it's ingrained in him. And, it's a different perspective when you know and you've been a part of the good times and the bad times. And then you have someone to just passing by, and then they want to claim because they got a couple of victories. Now, what's going to happen? The table going to turn. The swag is not there no more. So those same teams that saying that we ain't swag, they're going to show them. Jackson State will be back to mediocrity probably in the next couple of years. I mean, most of the kids that were there are in the transfer portal. And some of them just their second time, meaning that their next move, they're going to have to sit out at a college, for a year. And how that impacts them, the transfer portal as of this afternoon was over 1,000 kids in there. And 41% of those kids will never come out of the portal. So when you're talking about coming to my grandmother's house or my mother's house, going to HBCU in Mississippi, I'm believing the dream that you're telling me. Because that's what it is. I get opportunity not only go to HBCU, but I get to get coached by Coach Deion Primetime Sanders. Because that's what mama believes. And you get your baby there in Backwoods, Mississippi, and then you say, you know what? I'm out. Now, mama feeling a certain type of way, and grandmama too, because you sat on the couch. Now, they expect that from, these other coaches around the country. They really do. And most coaching staffs around the country got to have that brother that can go into that neighborhood and be able to talk to that mama and that grandmama.
Yes.
I've told you, Dr. Jamal, I've been on a recruiting trip with a kid that was the number one player, and he was from Charlotte, North Carolina. And this PWI coach, who's number 2 in the country right now, is coaching that team. The grandmama would not allow him in her house. He had to sit on the porch because she said it was just something about him that she didn't trust. But could Deion Sanders, if he came to her house, would she leave him on the porch? Probably not. Grandma probably gonna come in and smoke a cigarettes and do what she do while Deion sitting in the house. So just it's a different perspective, especially when you're talking about our kids.
And Coach Deloach, some people are saying that we are hating on Deion. That's what happened. And so let y'all know on another platform, another show we do that we talk about Deion constantly. We talk about Deion's impact. So again, this is not that we are not about the bashing of Deion, because we've held Deion up. We've talked about Deion. So this is one where I'm saying we're having a sobering conversation about a philosophy and a mentality. That's what we're talking about, and that this is real. So, Coach, that people are saying that we are hating that. Again, they say, well, other people that you have a job, and what then happens is that you then find another job that pays you a little bit more, you go to it. And so why are we hating right now that he found another job that pays $5 million?
Well, part of it is when you say that you're here because God sent you. Yeah, and that may be true, but the thing is that everybody has a contract. And if Deion had a contract, it's easier to come out and say, you know what, I want to get back in coaching. Jackson State is going to allow me to be here. Hey, I'm only going to be here for 3 or 4 years, and then I'm out. I'm looking for other opportunities. Then people more attuned to say, you know what? He told us up front he was going to be here 3 or 4 years, and then he's out. Because most people don't know that most coaches only get a 5-year contract, and after the 3rd year, everything is an option. Assistant coaches only get 2 years. So when you don't know the game or what's going on behind the scenes, then you quick to jump on the bandwagon and saying no. People hating on Deion. Deion has been around the game. He's not new to it. He knows how contracts work. Everything. If you're winning, it's like a player option. It's year to year, and then you get an opportunity to negotiate in that 3rd year, so you can get more money. And they rip that contract up, and then you get your $20 million, and then coaches are set for life. And they sit there for 10 years at $100 million, like some of these PWI schools.
Okay. And we say to all y'all, share this information, share, run, tell that. I got Coach Rob Deloach with us. And so, Coach, we're going to come to this part, and then we'll move on with regards to some people have some issues with regards to when Deion now has the conversation with some of the players there in Colorado about they need to go ahead and jump into the transfer portal because he's bringing his people. There are going to be people coming. So some people thought that was a bit, I'm going to say, a bit harsh. What's your perspective on that?
That's my point when I said when you sit down and you talk to mama, you got to be upfront with them. Now, if Deion was bold enough to tell these kids, and he was on camera that some of them need to jump in the portal, then Deion got to tell mama, hey, I'm only going to be here a couple of years. I'm going to try to do the best for your son in the time that I'm here. Now, you got opportunity. He can come, but there's no guarantees I'm going to be here. Just like he's telling those kids who've been at Colorado for 2 or 3 years, and they've only won one. They were 1-10 or 1-9 or wherever they were, 1-11, that, hey, some of y'all got to go. And it's the same thing that happened at Jackson State. What happened to those kids that were there prior to Deion that he told the same thing to? Now, we're talking about institutions of higher learning. People don't know, yes, if you lose your scholarship, most schools honor your opportunity to graduate from college. That's a part of it. But I can't say all HBCUs have that funding, money aside that they can afford for Rob Deloach to be off the football team or basketball on a scholarship and still have money allocated for me to graduate college. Some of them do, some of them don't. So it's the reality of college sports, not only in football, but Deion basically told them up front that, some of y'all are not welcome back. And the flip side of that, well, I won't say flip side. Now that football season's over for some of these schools, coaches are having exit meetings with certain kids. And they'll basically tell them, hey, it's best that you move on and try to find you someplace else to play because, we're bringing other kids in that we think can help us elevate to the next level. And normally they try to help them find a place because it's all about relationships with all these coaches. They all know each other, and it may not be at, Colorado. And Deion may make a call to another school and say, hey, because he's bringing on guys from colleges, from around the country that are leaving programs that they say, hey, this kid probably can help us. So it's all about networking relationships, for the coaches and things like that. They all millionaires. But, I'm always going to side for the kids because what happens to those kids that you sold a dream to, that you told them that, hey, I want you to be here and be a part of the growth of this program? Because without those kids, Deion is not elevated to have an opportunity at Colorado. He don't win by himself because he don't play the game anymore. So at least, I think, with him being there 3 years, at least stay through and get your first graduating class. And then you move on. Because the money going to be there. Honestly, Dr. Jamal, Louisville wanted to hire him. Louisville Cardinals. But there's a conspiracy out here is that some of the PWI, including the leadership, say, hey, let him pass. Let him take a job someplace else because we don't want him in ACC because wherever he lands in ACC, he would dominate just by his name recognition alone. So it ain't as now. At some point, he may circle back around for another job in 3 more years. Because if he go out in Colorado and win, guess what? He'll be back on the East Coast. He might be coaching. I won't say the school in Tallahassee because I don't ever think he'll ever be able to return back there because of the relationship. You know, he never graduated from there. So, I mean, it's a lot of stuff, you know, that goes on behind the scene that people just jump to conclusion because it's hot news and it's Deion. But Deion is strategically planning this process. Trust me. He's had this job before it was announced. He had this job before Thanksgiving.
This Coach Rob Deloach, Coach Rob Jiggy, who's from St. Philip on the Boulevard.
715, get the address right.
What's the address again?
715.
Lord. Monumental, but again, that's just another story we'll have for another day. And now let y'all understand this, Coach Rob Deloach. You are a parent, but also a coach. And you have some insight with regards to because you have 3 athletes that is in your family from Ohio State to BCU to FSU. So again, OSU, BCU, FSU, and let y'all know, you may not realize, ignore what he says, but Jalen Deloach went to Jenkins before he went to Berkmar, but okay, go on. So, Coach Deloach, when you talk about this, you're not talking about just from somebody from the outside, you're talking from the inside. And so, what's your perspective and insight that you can give? Because we're going to start getting into these young people who are in high school, but I want people to understand, this man we got on here, this ain't no novice right here. As I say, a coach, but he's also a parent of Division I athletes. I should say the co-parent, because it just ain't him. It's also his wife. Just to let y'all know, it's his wife also. And he be going all across the country, but he don't never let me go. But I'm leave that. That's another story. Another day. I'll leave that alone. Go ahead, Coach.
Well, Doc, you know, in my journey, I've been able to, you know, just build relationships. And when you can pick up the phone and call coaches just to get their insight on, you know, perspective, what are they actually looking for in a kid? And, you know, Coach and I come back and we try to give parents the honest opinion because the game is changing. You know, now they're saying that basically a high school kid around the country, it's going to be hard for them to get a college scholarship. Because, unfortunately, these kids that have been at universities for 2 years that haven't played, and then they go in the portal, they're going to take them because they have college experience and they have eligibility, you know, 2 to 3 years left. They've been in a weight room. They've been in classroom settings, and they basically let another university train these kids up. And they're not in the process of developing kids anymore. They want them to come in with some understanding of how college football works. If you look at basketball across the country, North Carolina, Florida State has only won 1 basketball game. Louisville is 0-8 because the transfer portal has allowed them to go get guys who have been in school 4 or 5 years. And now you take that Bryant University and then they go out and beat a Power 5 school in basketball. You know, basketball is even now. You know, now a high school kid, 18 years old, is the top player in Savannah. It's just not fair to them. There's no development. So, you know, the thing that kids have to understand and parents have to understand, there is a opportunity for your son or daughter around the United States of America. But we have to be realistic and understand the value that these coaches have to win. You know, that's how they feed their families. And they're not going to bring in a kid that they don't think can help them win. It's just that simple. So my advice to them, you know, we always talk about it, is 77 academic scholarships to 1 athletic scholarship. If you can get your academics, it's going to, you know, everybody knows this, it's going to carry you further than the ball. So we just have to be honest with ourselves and our kids.
So saying that they can be an athlete, but they need to make sure they're doing the work in the class, like they do the work on the field or on the court or on the diamond or on the
On the
track.
track.
They need to be able to do that in the classroom also. That needs to transfer over to the classroom. That same acumen they have with regards to when they're out there performing, that now they need to be able to perform in the classroom also.
No, I'll just say this. I talked to a Miami Hurricane great earlier this week. Actually, it was last week, and I had some guys here in Savannah that felt like South Florida kids. It's a lot of height with them, and so I called the guy. He's a Miami great. It's Melvin Bratton. He's won the national championship in Miami in 1987. Now he is a scout for the NFL and has been a scout for 4 different NFL teams, and now he's an agent. He's actually the agent for AR, Anthony Richardson, the quarterback from the University of Florida that's going in the draft. And I asked him, I said, what separates the South Florida kids from any other kid in the country? And his number one thing was most of those kids don't have a front porch or a back porch.
Mm.
And their mentality is that they're going to get this football and they're going to run with it, catch it, throw it from sun up to sun down, because that is their opportunity in their mind to change their environment for their mama and their siblings. Number one. And it's still true to this day. And he was in Miami in 1982 or 83 and graduated in 87. And here we are in 2022, and it's the same mentality for those kids in South Florida. Plus the number of high schools and schools in South Florida. I mean, damn, South Florida is probably as large as most of Georgia. When you're talking about people that play sports or high schools down in that area.
Mm-hmm.
So for our 1 or 2 that get out, it's probably 50 that get out just in South Florida. We're not talking about Fort Lauderdale or West Palm Beach. We're just talking about Miami.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we got to understand, where we are in this game, especially in Savannah.
Okay. And I'm glad you said that, Savannah, because we're going to segue to this part of the program of our show. Again, we said all y'all share. We think this is important. And again, we're saying Savannah, but guess what? This is pertinent around the entire country, just throughout the entire state of Georgia. And now it comes down to, as I say, mamas and daddies, don't let your babies just go to private schools. Mamas and daddies, just don't let your babies go to private school, because you think that's the best opportunity for them to get exposure, for them to go and be able to get a college, a scholarship offer. So essentially what Coach Deloach will tell you, you might get a college scholar offer, but it might not be from a D1, it might be a D2 or something like that, a D3. They might, a D2, or NAIA, it might be some of them right now because of the transfer portal stuff. So again, you want to get your child out there. So mamas and daddies, don't let your babies go to private schools. So Coach Deloach, what's your thoughts with regards to that?
Oh man, this could be a show within itself.
Yeah, we might have a part 2 on this. I'm just saying, ain't no problem with me. We have part 2 because this is something that's glaring.
I'm a proud graduate at AE Beach High School, class of 86. And a lot of my friends went to public schools, and they've done very well for themselves. But at the same time, for some reason, our parents and our community believes that the private schools are the best way for their children that play sports to get a college scholarship. And that's so untrue, because most of the kids that are signing, to play college sports, play public school ball, and it's free. So when you're thinking about the economic impact that these parents make, the sacrifice that they make to pay to go to school, right, in a private school, some of them pay $14,000, $15,000, $20,000, depending on what school you attend. You're already paying for 4 years of college somewhere over a 4-year period. And that's what all tuition paid. That's a car, that's food, clothing in 4 years. But the sad part of it, Dr. Jamal, they invest all this money in the private school, and a kid gets a scholarship to Savannah State or Georgia Southern. And there's no knock on the university, but you spent $80,000 in private school, and your son get a scholarship or daughter get a scholarship to Georgia Southern. Savannah State. I mean, come on.
About Valdosta State.
Valdosta State. And they paid to go to school. I mean, what are we doing? And some of them don't get opportunity to even get an offer. They win state championship, but state championships don't. I mean, that's all it is. That's for the school. And I tell people all the time, for most of these private schools, when they win, their biggest gift is when they have their 10-year, 20-year class reunion. They want to be able to walk around the stadium and say, "Oh, this class won a state championship in 1950," and tailgate. That's all they care about. You know, if one kid make it, oh, they'll ride them. But most of the time, it don't look like them.
Okay.
And that's the problem.
Okay.
You know, it's fine until the rabbit get the gun. And then when we start excelling, and then we get in the, the Power 5 offers, and then you look over there, and little Andy is wondering why. He's not going to University of Georgia because guess what, little Andy, you can't play. And that's the sad reality of it is because a lot of times you'll find out that once these kids' high school career is over, at most of the private schools, they never play sports again. And they end up where their parents can afford for them to go to University of Georgia or Georgia Tech. And then they say, oh, yeah, my son, daughter, yeah, UGA. Well, I thought they played football or basketball. Now they just going to school. But then you got Jimmy that y'all paid to come over here, and Jimmy running out on the field at UGA. But in this climate, and the flip side of this, Dr. Jamal, for the private schools, to their defense, the public schools don't have nothing to offer them. Including your alma mater, that they built that multi-million-dollar facility that you can't even host a track meet or a football game at the university. I mean, on campus. And I just found this out because I was at a meeting last week where the track is illegal.
What?
Yes, the lanes are too small, are not wide enough. So the track is not even legal to hold a track meet at HVJ Jenkins High School on Durant, where it's better.
It was designed by somebody from Beach and Savannah High. That's why I keep telling people. That football field was designed by Beach people and Savannah High people and Windsor Forest people.
The leadership didn't have sense enough to ask people who know what it should look like. There's a coach at Savannah State who's been there over 30-something years, has been in the business. The easiest thing to do is pick up the phone and say, hey, give us the blueprint.
All right.
That's not what we do. That's not what they do. Their goal, their job is to be educators. They're not in the business of knowing what the measurements of a track lane should be. And that's what we are. So you guys have a state-of-the-art facility that you can never use.
And so you all just heard that, correct? And so now we say share. This is information. Most of us, I did not know that about the track field. But even when I saw the football field built, as I was traveling along Durant, and I said to myself, like, what the world? Why is the field like that? Why is the field going north and south? It should go east and west. Because I said to myself, like, they must be going to put up a huge net. Because I say if they do a field goal, just a field goal, a point after attempt, if they do that, that ball, depending on that kicker, from somebody coming from around the country, let's say they're coming from Carrollton or something like that, or from Valdosta, from Warner Robins, or Southwest DeKalb, or Cedar Grove, that ball will probably go into the street and hit somebody's car driving on Durant. And I'm like, that's a danger. That's why I said, and I just said to myself as I'm driving on and I saw the field, and I'm like, wait a minute. So again, and as you said, somebody allowed this to happen, but they hold people accountable. I tell people, I say, you try to hold students accountable and other people accountable. That right there is a fiasco, and people are silent about it, not saying anything about it. So now you say about the track field.
They don't know, Dr. Jamal. They're not being transparent. Because there's no one sitting on at the table that had any insight, and they thought it was okay. Even Memorial Stadium, is no way that you can build a brand new stadium in 2021 or whenever it was built and not have a track inside of the facility. You know, you only get to do this one time. How many times are they going to build a new high school or a new stadium?
And this is sad. This is sad because again, the monies are spent, and you have the architects throwing the stuff out there, and pretty much nobody holds them accountable with regards to that. So everybody just rubber stamping and go on. And so now we look and we see this happening, and so we also now see that again, and I just throw it out there because Deloach shared with you all. Again, we say share about what happens with regards to when people not at the table, not understanding when if they are at the table and not willing to go get advice from somebody else, to get some guidance from someone else, that now we also are going to say that you see lives also impacted by this. You see the lives of young people impacted by some of the same type of thinking with regards to, again, when we look at, say, from the public to the private, because again, we see how the public schools have not done what they need to do to shore up the sports athletic foundation here like it needs to be done. And then so now they go over to the private schools, and then the lives of young people are transformed also, and not always for the benefit of the other, for the best. Sometimes it's transformed in other ways that, again, because they do experience, I'm putting it out there, Coach Deloach didn't say this, but they experience racism, especially those who are African Americans. They are in the private schools, they experience racism and mistreatment that, again, but you have parents, Coach Deloach, who just go along with it, who roll with it, because they're looking at having the championships, the state titles, and the recognition, and the newspaper, and the television accolades being given to their son or their daughter.
What happened when the lights go off? They sitting in the dark. Because they drank the Kool-Aid to think that it was, lighter was always better. And it's not the case. To me, unless they're going to a private college, then go to a private school. Because when you get to college, man, they don't care nothing about what you did in high school. The devices that we try to, I guess, keep our kids away from, normally when they leave the private schools, they because they haven't had opportunity to experience anything. They're the ones that's leading the parties. They're going to have a party every night, But when you're in a regular environment, it's nothing new to you. And I get it. Parents think that, it's the best thing for them. And I've always said this. If you're going to get your schoolwork, you're going to get it regardless. And in this environment, and I tell the kids at the gym, how do you know if there's 1,000 kids in a college classroom as an athlete and they get quiet? I said, well, if you sit to the front, you don't worry about who's sitting behind you. But what happens is, as an athlete, when you come late and you see 999 kids sitting in that auditorium and your seat is up front, the likelihood of you walking down that aisle to get to your seat is probably not going to happen. You're probably going to skip class that day. So for athletes, we don't worry what, or most of the kids, you shouldn't worry what, who's sitting behind you. Get up front and be a leader, especially for the athletes. They have to build that relationship with their professors.
Yes. And Reverend Betty Jones said that it was not a Beach alum who designed it. That was Jenkins High School designed it, or maybe she was talking about Johnson High School who designed it. So it wasn't a Beach, but we understand.
She know greatness.
Yeah, we know that people from Beach are prejudicial. We know that. We understand that. We see that all the time with them. And so, Coach, what must the parents do with regards to these elements from the high school component to that, even with regards to the college component? What should they be doing with regards when these people are not talking to them? Because I guess I'm gonna throw it out there, because they do recruiting also for them on a high school level to come to their schools also. So what should these parents be doing?
Just use common sense. It's not that hard. If you go to an open house and they got a bar and they're serving drinks inside of the school, that tell you all you need to know. Come on, man. If you go to a school and they got an open bar and they expecting these kids to act accordingly, that's all you need to know, because some stuff is condoned at some of these schools openly.
I'm about to say, Coach Deloach, I can't imagine something like that. Not at a high school that
A
they're
private
doing
school?
something like, huh?
Oh yes, go to open house, and they'll
Okay.
have a bar, and they'll have all kind of fundraisers. Just mingle. But they
Mm-hmm.
expect the kids, to act accordingly. Well,
Mm,
we drank in the school
mm,
at open
mm,
house.
mm, 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 mm,
But some of us, we so caught up, we missed that.
mm,
We
mm,
didn't see that.
mm, mm.
They
So,
ate the cookies.
mm, mm, mm. And just to let you all know this, that even let's say if Governor Kemp comes to Savannah and he
Mm-hmm.
goes to Savannah State and they want to have, say, a time of refreshment or some, as they say, brotherly and sisterly, engagement, that Governor Kemp cannot drink any alcohol on Savannah State's campus. Governor Kemp would have to go off the campus on a property that is not owned by the state of Georgia to not drink the alcohol. So that's why I'm listening to you, Coach Deloach. So you're trying to tell me that even for state, again, public property, state property, I should say, like the publicly owned property, that they can't drink alcohol on the facility like that, even if it's the governor of Georgia. But then you trying to tell me I can go to an open house at a high school.
Private.
Yeah, and that's what I'm going to get there. Say at a high school, and they got alcohol right there, and that you can imbibe the alcohol. You can have your sisterly and brotherly, refreshments.
Yes.
I want all y'all to get that right there. That again, and so you go and see, and as you say, hey, this is what people are subjecting their children to. So then they get surprised when they now begin to have some issues with regards to, as I was throwing out there, because not that I came up with this, but this is what I heard from Coach Carter and Coach Deloach, that when Bumper is not able to play, that there's some issue when Bumper is at the end of the bench and Bumper cannot play.
That's the truth.
And then you wonder why your children are getting demerits and also getting called into office, and then are you getting text messages or calls to say that your son, your daughter is not being incorrigible, your son or your daughter is acting out, your son or your daughter is not, showing the values of this Christian institution, this, prideful institution, private facility.
Exactly. It's almost like, and it's just my opinion. Most of these schools, of the people that run them, they all are friends. They all in the same neighborhoods. They all run in the same circle. So if Rob's son is acting up in school, I don't get that call. But if Andy, who the teachers live across the street, they're going to get that call and say, hey, Andy didn't do an assignment. But guess what? I'm going to give him time tonight to, to send it in, and then we won't hold that against him. If you don't think that happens, you're fooling yourself.
All right. Y'all hearing this, Coach Rob Deloach putting it out there, and that this is a part of the experience, because that's why I'm listening to you. And that if, for instance, if the kids are playing with, some of the young people are playing with devices that they see on TikTok and on other social media platforms, and that they not use those devices amongst themselves. But then when the African-American children now go and engage in the same thing, then it has an element of criminality. Yes. And then so your child is not called into question, saying basically trying to project them as being criminals. That they are a threat to other people, and that they can cause harm to other people, but nothing being done. But then here go parents subjecting themselves. Like I say, parents, don't send your babies to private schools. But then we go and do it. And this is going on. And I'm going to throw up an incident, Coach Rob Deloach. You might remember this, and the person might be, and some of y'all might be shocked, say, why is he going back in time? I'm going back in time. I'm going back to the 1980s. I'm going back to Irvin Scott when he is at BC. And there's a controversy about Irvin Scott, what happened to Irvin Scott. And Irvin Scott then has to go over to Groves and play for Groves. And there was even issues about should he be able to play for Groves. So Coach Deloach, not to say I'm asking about any cases right now, but just in general, do we still see that occurring?
Of course. You know, before Irvin, there was, you know, another brother that ended up at Beach High School, you know, for the same thing. And it's happening right now in 2022. Where kids, you know, have been used for their talents. And then, you know, when they have some outliers, then, you know, hey, it didn't work out. You know, we're sorry. And then they sweep it up under the rug. You know, some stuff get posted now that we have social media when it's a negative, but there's nothing, you know, posted when, you know, other things happen the other way. And we know it gets swept up under the rug. But parents still subject themselves to that. You know, I can only speak from my experience.
Yes, sir.
Things that I've seen and parents that I've talked to.
And Reverend Betty Jones said it happens and it is not just started happening. So it still continues. It still continues. And so this has been Run Tell That. And then we discussed the Deion factor, the private school factor, the public school basically allowing the private schools to not come and do this, because when the public schools do not take ownership and control like they need to with regards to the very plans. And when you threw about Memorial Stadium, so here go even the county government with regards to this. And so Coach Rob Deloach, we're going to be winding it up. Any last words that you want to share with any of our audience that they need to have that's valuable for them?
Make sure you check on your young people's mental health. You make sure that you tell your children that you love them. And then, you know, we as parents, you know, we try to do the best we can with what we have. But don't sell your child to the system. The last thing I'll say before I go is that if you look around, they're not building facilities for our young people. They're building facilities to house them and for them to work in, but definitely not building an opportunity for them to get away. Because once they get away, they won't come back. So keep your ears and eyes open. Be a voice in the community. Hold people accountable. And, you know, stand up in the paint.
All right. And that's Coach Rob Deloach and Miss Shirley James, who attends St. Philip on the Boulevard. She has said to me back in October, that what needs to happen, that the Divine Nine organizations need to be involved in doing after-school programs. And because Coach Rob Deloach is the one who's aware of that recreational facilities not available to our children. So I'm going to throw it out there. Coach Rob Deloach, Coach Miss Shirley James, and myself, I'm going to at least put it on out there, say we're going to talk to her, and so that way we can move forward, because that way we can change the direction of where we're going in this community, and we need to say other people need to be doing the same thing. But again, Coach Rob Deloach, glad to have you. The slander regarding HBJ is not appreciated, but again, that's his opinion, not the opinion of Run Tell That. Again, Coach Rob Deloach, we appreciate you.
All right, Doc, man. Be safe.
All right. We'll see y'all. All right. See y'all next week. Run Tell That. Peace and blessings.
I like that.